place of horrors. In the depths of the night, you hear the calling your heart of darkness.
Hello, freaky Frighteners. You got the Brewster here for another episode of Brewster Vision presents Brewsteria, and I am with host of Cinenerds Podcast and the bass player for Killer's Convention, JP Cross. What's up, brother?
What's up? How's everybody doing?
Yeah, I appreciate you joining me on this, man.
Absolutely. You messaged me the other day and asked me, and yeah, I'm always down for an interview or to do a show or whatever.
Well, like I said, we've talked on Whole Dam Enchilada podcast when you come in to guest co-host or whatnot, but we haven't actually shot the shit, and you deal with my sense of humor, so I can never find enough people in that particular genre or area to hang with. So I appreciate you coming on here.
Oh yeah, absolutely, anytime.
So to people who are new to my podcast, why don't you just introduce yourself, start with Cinenerds, and we'll just kind of go from there.
Well, if you don't know who I am JP Cross, and I am now officially 1/3, not 1/2 anymore, because for a long time it was just me and Ryan. 1/3 of the Cinenerds Podcast host, because we just added Tiffany to our show. So we do a weekly show, movie show, kind of like you do with the Whole Dam Enchilada. But ours is more broad. We cover anything. We'll do indie films, we'll do rom-com, sci-fi, horror, comedy, whatever. We will review it. So but our show comes out every Thursday at 8:00. We do a live chat on YouTube, and I have distribution through all the major podcast apps and a lot of the most of the small podcast apps. So everything goes out all at one time around 8:00. I've just started adding the video to the podcast apps that actually allow the video show. And the reason I did that, Apple Podcast has officially came into the video podcast realm now. So I'm now doing the distribution for the video and audio versions across the board now. Also for the almost 10 years, I think it's 10 years in October, I have been the bass player for A Killer's Confession, which if you don't know what A Killer's Confession is,
Shame on you.
Yeah, shame on you. My singer, and I don't look at him like this because my singer is the former singer of Mushroomhead, if you guys know who Mushroomhead is. But I don't look at him like that because him and I have grown up with each other through the music industry since we were 15. So we did projects before Mushroomhead. We toured with Mushroomhead before he was in Mushroomhead. So he is really just my singer, not for me. He's not the former singer of Mushroomhead. But so yeah, we've been doing that for the past 10 years, almost 10 years.
So before we go into that, let's start with the Cinenerds. How long you been doing that? What got you into it?
So the thing is, I've always been more interested in film than I am music, which sounds odd.
Yeah.
I always wanted to be an actor. I always wanted to direct. I always wanted to write, and I have wrote, and I have done some stuff in film, back in my college days, which we won't say how long ago that was now. But so I've always had a love for film, and I've had a love for very specifically low budget film. Like I love really cheesy low budget film, especially growing up in the 80s and 90s. I was obsessed with USA Up All Night, and I don't know if you remember. Yeah, Rhonda Shear and Gilbert Gottfried, where they basically every Friday, Saturday night they played 2-3 movies in the middle of the night on USA, and it was always stuff like Nukem High or Dinosaur Island or Hell Came to Frogtown. It was a lot of just this low budget. There's a lot of trauma films at the time, but there's just a lot of low budget films that they played. And so I fell in love with film before then, but that really molded me, you know. Um, so I've always had this love for film and passion for film. And for years, I had talked about starting a podcast for probably the past 10 years, and never did it because I couldn't find anybody that I really connected with to actually start a show. And finally, almost 3 years ago now, it'd be 3 years in December, I believe it is. I think it's December 16th was, I guess, our anniversary date. Um, Ryan, who at the time he was the general manager at the Agora Theater in Cleveland, so we had, you know, knew each other, worked with each other some, you know, within the music industry. And well, he's a big movie guy like me. On top, he's kind of like me, but a different version of me. You know, he grew up the same way doing music, but had this huge passion for film, and very specifically sci-fi. He's a big sci-fi guy, and he had reached out to me, you know, because for a long time people kept saying you really need to do a podcast. You really need to do a movie podcast. And he'd actually reached out to me because it's something he had been wanting to do. And so it really just spun out from there, you know, because once Ryan kind of came into it, it was just like, okay, this is a guy I can do this with, you know, because he's he's better spoken than I am, you know, because I have this southern drawl. And um, sometimes people don't understand me because I'll start talking really fast with a southern accent.
I
And
haven't understood a word you said this whole time. I'm just smiling and laughing.
I sound like Boomhauer, you know, so that kind of that tracks. So but Ryan's more well spoken, and so I figured, you know, why not, you know?
See, I'm hoping you're saying something funny because I can't understand a word you're saying. Like, I'm kidding, I'm kidding, I'm kidding. Now you do all kinds of movies, but you do horror as well, right?
We tend to do a lot more horror and sci-fi, and I think that's just because that's what Ryan and I gravitate to. And we're actually getting ready to change some stuff. Like I've had this big master plan I've been wanting to do for a long time now, and I think now that I'm actually, because I'm moving to North Carolina, I'm leaving Ohio, and I feel like I'm going to have more time on my hands to really focus on the show. And so you're actually going to get the exclusive on this. I briefly mentioned it on our on the live episode the other day, I think. Um, but so since we've added Tiffany to the show, and yeah, we used to have three hosts when we first started the show, but it's been me and Ryan for like the past 2 years, 2.5 years,
Yeah.
and bringing Tiffany in is kind of, I guess, a little strategic. You know, we've been tossing this around. We've talked since we let our other host go, that we wanted another host, and we wanted a female because we wanted that female perspective.
Yeah.
Um, but we've got some changes. We're really going to really get more active on TikTok. I'm trying to plan, now that I've got an extra host, because that's been a lot of the issues between my schedule and Ryan's schedule. We stay so busy. We don't have a set day we record. So like we never know when we're going to both be available. So adding this third host, we're going to start doing multiple lives a week on TikTok to try to build our TikTok followers. Um, but more so, we're going to add a sister show. So um, I'm not sure how I'm going to do it yet. We've talked a little bit. I do know we are gonna add a Patreon, and some of these episodes are now going to roll onto a Patreon for subscription based. But the sister show we're going to add is called Trashy Tuesday, and I've been teasing it in our live chat for months. But
You
Trashy
sold me on the
Tuesday,
name.
Trashy Tuesday is coming, and I'm not sure how I'm going to, because we still got some stuff we're going to iron out. But obviously, it's going to be trashy movies. It's going to be low budget movies. But I think I'm going to add another criteria to where it may be um, reviews that or films that just people generally have hated on, that have a low Rotten Tomato score, IMDb score, um, and review them if they're really bad or if they're really trashy. And there's a gray area there because there's a lot of trashy films that are rated high.
Mhm.
So I gotta find that criteria because I feel like I do want to do other films within that series too that are probably a higher budget film but are universally hated. I want to do bad movies,
Yeah.
and um and not saying they're all bad because trashy movies, I love trashy movies, and some of those movies are fantastic, So that's kind of the ballpark of where we're going with it, with Cinenerds Trashy Tuesday edition is basically what it will be.
See, that's what I like about you is because despite what Rick says, we have no problem with each other as far as I know. um I actually, yeah, I was thinking about talking some shit on here, but we won't do that. I lost my train of thought. See, I like what I like about you, or one of the things I like about that is that you have like Whole Dam Enchilada podcast or Horrorcraft. You guys have a set schedule. My shit's all at random.
Yeah.
It's when I get an idea for something, I'll throw it up there. Like this week, actually, or the past few weeks, I've had a couple consecutive episodes on Sundays, whether it's Brewster Vision or Mental Hell. I'm sorry, if it's Brewsteria or Mental Hell, but it's just because I found the time, I found the guests and stuff like that. Past that, once this one comes out in a couple weeks, I may not do another Brewsteria for like a month or something, but I'll still throw other videos out there. It's all just kind of random chaos, and I guess goes with the name Brewsteria. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, and that's one thing that me and Ryan discussed early on was when we decided to do the show. We was like, let's pick a day and time, and I want that to be consistent,
Yeah.
So, and so we landed on Tuesdays at 8, and I don't remember how we landed there. And actually, whenever we landed there, I wasn't even thinking about the Whole Dam Enchilada being at 7 on Thursdays, but I think it's kind of worked out for uh, purposes, but it was never any intention, it was just we wanted to pick one date and just in time and stick to it. And we've never missed a Thursday,
Yeah.
because we pre-record every episode. So like even if I'm on tour for 4 or 5 weeks, then I have episodes already pre-uploaded and scheduled for premieres every Thursday. So we've never missed a Thursday yet, and we don't plan on it. And we'll do the same with Trashy Tuesday, but we got to figure out how we're going to do it because I do want to release some of those as free, but obviously I think I'm going to do some. Obviously, most of those episodes are going to be through the Patreon or through a Apple subscription or whatnot. And it's not going to be expensive. I haven't picked a number yet, but I'm sure it won't be but a couple bucks. Something.
That's still too expensive. I'm trying to get into that state of mind that you just mentioned because my state of my brain mode right now is like, just enjoy stuff being scheduled for the next weeks. What I should do is find somebody in a week or something and get that uploaded so that after this one comes out, I want to say it's June 21st, I think this episode's going to be airing. They'll have something to go the following week and kind of keep at it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And that's what we've done and luckily, and we do some interviews on the show, and I love doing interviews, but the problem's been, again, kind of like I said earlier, mine and Ryan's schedules don't always line up. And so it's hard to be like, hey, we need to find a time that we can schedule this interview with this person. And so it's a lot of back and forth. It's a lot of spinning wheels. And so it becomes very kind of a pain in the ass, scheduling interviews.
Yeah.
Where like, I know you guys with the Whole Dam Enchilada, you do your show live. And so your interviews are always like, hey, we're going to do this on 7 o'clock on Thursdays,
Right.
where I don't have that. But we've done some really cool ones, but we've not done many. And we've talked, we want to do more interviews, but we don't want that to be our show. We want to talk about the movies that we're watching. We love doing interviews, but we don't want to have to depend on interviews.
Yeah. Well, that's kind of what Brewsteria is. Like I thought about doing that, like in talking, but like who fucking wants to hear me talk for an hour? So that's why I do my little gory goodies and retro reviews, just little shorts, just to throw some stuff up there. But I get it with the scheduling as well because I couldn't a lot of time. Well, I think we have a mutual friend, and I use that in quotes because I've never actually met the guy, but James Carnes, director of Killer Cox.
Yes, Killer Cox. Yep.
Yeah, he I fucking love that name. he hit me up, I want to say in October, November last year after I did an interview with Mike Fink, and it was kind of getting schedules to line up. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Because he's over, I think he's in Texas, which is on the same time zone, but he obviously has a busier schedule than I would.
Yeah.
You know?
And I've talked to James over the past year or two about, and I've talked to him like, dude, you know, when you get Killer Cox done, you know, I want you to, we'll do an interview. We'll help promote, you know, the film.
Yeah.
Because I'm excited for the film, you know,
Oh, hell yeah.
and you know, James is directing it, and I think like Jessa is even in it. I think she has a small role in it. But I'm super psyched to watch the film, but I know he stopped working on it so I think he's had some personal issues, and I don't know what they are, but I've
Yeah.
heard, you know, that he's had some issues. I think more personal issues, and he had to step away for a little while. Then I've seen here recently where he's talked about, hey, I'm getting back on this. This is coming. So I'm really hoping it gets done here soon, because I want to see the film and I want to bring him on, just like you guys do. I want to bring him on and talk about this movie.
Yeah. Well, I was really excited because he sent me I think you follow Mike Fink on Facebook, don't you?
Maybe. I think so.
Well, I got in touch with him through a mutual friend, to which got me friend requested by James, and he had sent me a DM, and he's like, "Hey, if if you want somebody on your podcast, I'm down." I'm like, "Yeah, sure," and he was telling about Killer Cox, and I was just like, "Oh, dude, you sold me."
Yeah.
And he was I remember we were chatting back and forth, setting up, and he was leaving. We were using voice clips or whatever, which Rick hates. But he's just very excited on the phone, man. He was just super excitable about it. And I was like, fuck yeah, dude, this guy's ready to come on my podcast. I'm stoked about it, whatever.
Yeah.
So I am bummed that and this was in October, November last year. We filmed, dropped the episode. So I'm with you. I'm waiting as well, because he told me he would send me an autographed copy if they did a steelbook and shit. So I'm fucking waiting for that. Plus, I'm immature, and it's a horror movie called Killer Cox. How can I not be anxious for that fucking movie?
Yeah. No, it's the same. You know, the title alone sold me. You know, so I'm hoping he gets it done soon. You know, because I think it'll be a fun film. You know, fun, low budget, trashy Tuesday film.
Yeah, I'm waiting on that. And then another one of ours, I think Johnny Necro. I know you've mentioned you knew him as well, and he's got that Curse of the Ghost Rider coming out.
Yeah.
So these movies I'm waiting on. Man.
Yeah. So yeah. I think there's a lot of these indie directors out, doing. Some of them are doing some really cool stuff. Some of it's kind of off the wall, but there's some fun shit out there. I did an interview with another friend of mine. His name's Brandon Wheeler. Back, I guess it's been a year ago, maybe a year and a half ago now. And I think I'm actually going to do another interview with him here soon, because he has a new project that's coming out. And I talked to him pretty recently, but him and I are actually longtime friends through the music industry. And but he's left the music industry and he's actually just acting now. And he did this film, and you can watch it on Tubi. It's called Graveyard Shark. And yes, the film is as ridiculous as the title sound. But it's fun. It's so fun. And I even told him in the interview, like, the film is trashy. It's trashy, and it's low budget, and the special effects, a lot of them are garbage. But honestly, I think it works because the special effects are so bad. Like, some of the special effects looks like somebody just threw hamburger on somebody's chest. But and like the first 20 minutes of the film is really slow. It's like, oh, this is kind of painful. But then there's a spot there in the film that the film kind of changes. It flips the script and it goes off the rails, and it's amazing. But I'd interviewed him, and and we talk indie film. We talk these low budget horror films, or just indie film in general. And he's it's super cool what some of these guys are doing now. And even I did an interview with Jason, the guy who directed Kill Giggles.
Okay.
I don't know if you've seen Kill Giggles yet or not.
No, I have not.
he released that. He finally he filmed this film. I think it was pre-COVID, and then I think a little bit post-COVID, and then it sat on the shelf for almost 5 years, 5 6 years,
Oh
and
Jesus.
it just finally released like this past year. And the film's fantastic. It has such a creative, and that's why I love these indie guys. Is it has such a creative twist. It's called Kill Giggles, and you kind of think it's about a clown, and it is about clowns, but it flips the script. Where instead of you having a killer clown, you have a psychopath who is so traumatized by clowns, he kills every clown that he sees.
Oh shit.
So it flips the script. It's not about a killer clown, um, which I thought was such a cool, take on clowns,
Yeah.
clown horror.
Yeah. And a lot of people are afraid of them. And then they are creepy, man. I mean, even before Art the
Mhm.
Clown came out and Terrify, they were creepy little fuckers,
I
Uh,
talk to people all the time. They're terrified of killer clowns from outer space, and I'm like, that's comedy. It's not even scary. Why are you saying you're terrified of this? But
well, when you see it as a little kid and you don't want to eat popcorn anymore, you know what I mean?
I guess I watched it as a kid. But I mean, I guess for some,
So what got you into horror? Like what drew you to it when you were youngin'? I mean,
I watched horror way too young,
as
and
we all did.
the first film I remember watching in the movie theater was Friday the 13th Part 4, the final
Okay.
chapter, and I remember begging my now. Okay, we're talking 1980s in the South, and my mother was massive Southern Baptist, so lived in the Bible Belt, and I'm like 4 or 5 years old when that film came out, and I'm begging my mom, I want to go see Friday 13th Part 4,
Yeah.
and obviously that was a hard no, and my brother actually talked my mom into taking us to the movie theater, and she dropped us off, and I can't remember what movie he said we were going to watch. But it was whatever was playing at the same time as Friday 13th Part 4. And so she bought the tickets to the one movie, but we went and watched the other one, and we watched Friday 13th Part 4. So that was like one of my early experiences in horror, and so I've always loved it. And I remember watching that movie in the theater in total awe, like just had my eyes open watching it. My brother's over here covering his eyes up, like scared to death. And but I don't know. I think I just I remember that, and then I also just growing up, like I said, up all night, and then um, one of my friends' families owned a video rental store, and so like every weekend I would go to my grandmother's, and I would just go to this video rental store, and they would give me whatever I wanted for free because
Yeah.
it was my best friend's family that were in it,
Yeah.
and so I'd literally go in there and get stacks, just horror films, just based on the cover of what it was, and just come out, and then some action, and yeah, there'd be other stuff, but I would always just find random shit, and I would just go back to my grandmother's, pop the VHSs in, and just and watch them. And I don't know, I always gravitated to sci-fi and horror, and I always preferred horror comedy. Like I love horror comedies, and and I'm a big sci-fi guy, and obviously for obvious reasons, one of the first films I can remember watching was Return of the Jedi,
All right.
and so I became a big sci-fi guy. So, yeah, it's just been what I gravitated to for whatever reason.
Yeah. Well, maybe one of these days I'll get you on a mental hell and I'll pick your brain and see what kind of childhood trauma drove you over to horror movies. Um, so okay, so now let's segue into A Killer's Confession.
Yeah.
You'd see how long have you? I mean, like, what drew you to heavy metal music? Hey, you're the whole package here, man. You're doing podcasts and you actually tour with these guys.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. 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 I mean, I'm original in AKC. The lineup has changed so much in A Killer's Confession, and Waylon and I are the only originals. Um, and we've replaced multiple drummers, multiple guitar players, um, to the point that we even there was one tour last year. We we let a fill-in guitar, wasn't even a guy that was in the band. We had a fill-in guitar player. We fired him mid-tour, and I had to play guitar the rest of the tour because I knew the songs. But what kind of drove me to rock metal was 100% without a shadow of a doubt. It was Guns N' Roses' Appetite for Destruction.
So you didn't want to mention your age earlier, but can we assume that you're a child of the 80s?
Yeah, yeah. I'm
Okay.
a child of the 80s. And but yeah, I remember seeing I was into rock and metal before then, and I remember as a small kid, I really liked a lot of country music, and then I remember my brother coming in and said, you need to listen to this, and he popped in. Um, I believe it was Shout at the Devil. It was Motley Crue. It was one of Motley Crue's albums, but I think it was
Yeah.
Shout at the Devil. It may have been Theater of Pain. I can't remember, but I'm pretty sure it was Shout at the Devil. And I remember hearing it and going, never heard anything like that,
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, this is different. This isn't country music. And what is this? And so at the time, like I got to hear a lot of bands from that time period. He was into a lot of hair metal bands, obviously at the time, and so I heard all these hair metal bands growing up through him. And then once um, I believe I was 8. I was way too young to have the album, but I think when I was 8 is when Appetite for Destruction came out, and uh, 8 or 9. And when I heard Appetite for Destruction and I heard the guitar, when I heard the guitar in on that album, I was like, I have to do this. This is
Yeah.
what I want to do. I want to play guitar. And so I never learned how to play guitar. I did play piano back then, but um, I never learned how to play guitar at that point. So a few years go by, and at this point, like music genres have changed. Grunge has hit, and I got really into like a lot of Brooklyn hardcore bands. Like I was a massive like Sick of It All fan, and Biohazard and Madball, and bands like that came out in the early '90s, early mid '90s. And I kind of turned into this from a 9-year-old that was obsessed with wanting to learn how to play guitar to a 11, 12, 13-year-old little skater kid punk. And um at that point I started learning to play guitar. And
Mhm.
um it was like I said, it was just a lot of influences. Grunge had already hit, but it was like I was into grunge for a minute, and then it was done. Then I was into Brooklyn hardcore, and then I was into a lot of death metal at the time. Like I literally jumped from like Madball, Biohazard to Deicide, Morbid Angel.
Oh,
So
wow.
I literally just constantly listened to just everything,
Yeah.
in rock and metal. And then I just started learning everything. I wanted to learn and learn how to play this, how to play this style, or and so it was just my influences were everywhere. And I've had people ask me through the years, "Well, who influenced you? What influences you?" And I'm like, I can't pinpoint it, because I listened, and there was so many artists that really impacted me growing up.
Yeah. Yeah. I started off the same thing. I wanted to play guitar. Um, and then I think the next band I got into needed a bass player, and I was not happy where I was, and I kind of like regretted my decision playing guitar because, as you know, they're kind of a dime a dozen. Yeah,
Yeah,
everyone wants to play guitar,
yeah,
and it's much easier to find work if you're a bassist or drummer.
yeah,
Plus, my influence I can pinpoint, and that was old school Justice for All Jason Newsted from Metallica.
hmm
Um, his stage presence. I even had the same hairstyle he did when I had longer hair.
yeah.
So he was my influence because he was just so energetic on stage. He brought, you know what I mean? And no disrespect to Cliff, I was too young to appreciate Cliff Burton, you know?
The thing is, I thought Cliff was great, and I'm sure people will crucify me. I'm not a big Metallica fan
It's
either way.
okay.
So take this opinion with a grain of salt, because I've never been a
I'm a
massive
little bit.
Metallica fan. Never been a massive Metallica fan. liked them, but I've not ever been a massive fan.
Yeah.
So that being said, I like Cliff. I preferred Newsted.
Okay, so we're on the same boat on that one.
Yeah.
So, all right. Well, I gotta ask though, what was it? I mean, I'm gonna assume you're slightly older than I am. What did you prefer Newstead over Cliff then? Because a lot of
I
people are
I
finicky
think
about that.
I think there was some kind of charisma about
Yeah,
him that I just really liked, and I think that's what it is. I mean, if you want to be a rock star, you got to have something, and there was something about him that just felt more rock and roll. And it's like Duff McKagan. I mean, we could say the same thing about Duff McKagan from Guns N' Roses. There's something great about that guy, and
yeah,
not just great. The thing with Duff is that guy him and Izzy Stradlin wrote most of all those songs. It
yeah,
was always Duff and Izzy. And if you look at through the liner notes, Slash wrote very little to none for any of those Guns N' Roses albums. Um, but if you look at Duff back in the '90s, late '80s, early '90s, that guy was rock and roll, and
yeah,
he had a swagger to him. Same with Newsted. There was some kind of like metal version of that swagger in him
yeah,
um that I just thought was awesome. Yeah, and I think that's why I liked him better than Burton. Obviously Burton's probably was. I don't say he is. Probably was a better bass player.
yeah,
He was pretty innovative. I can't take credit away from him. I mean, he was great. Both of them were great. That's just the one I prefer, and I think it's the swagger that he has.
yeah. Yeah, I get a lot of hate for that. Well, as well, because I also I'm the bass player that other bassists hate because I use a pick.
I use a pick, but I'm a
Oh,
guitar player,
uh,
and
I'm gonna
then
start using
too.
that excuse from now on.
Well, and the thing was, I had is I didn't play bass until I joined AKC, and it was just because Waylon needed a bass player.
Yeah,
And there's been a number of times I'm like, I probably could have switched to guitar, and it was just I wasn't interested in it, at that point. I was like, I've kind of gotten comfortable in playing bass, but unlike except for last year when I had to finish a tour, playing guitar.
yeah,
And I don't mind doing it. I don't mind doing it for a tour. I don't mind doing it for whatever, but I don't, it's not something I want to permanently settle back into in AKC, and I still play guitar, I still write music. So I'm still playing guitar, So
yeah,
then it just becomes like, well, this is just easier for me to be this person on bass live, and I can still play guitar. I still write songs. So it's not a big deal. But playing with a pick, and I've hear people all the time. I get that. Oh, bass players they have to play finger. Let me tell you, no, no. Especially if you're playing really driving songs, they call for a pick. I'm sorry. Let's just be real. Unless you're playing funk or something that you really need to be slapping and doing weird things with your fingers on the bass, there's no point in it. And
yeah,
the other reason I don't, and I will flip. If there's a song that calls for me to play with my fingers, I will flip. I don't like doing it, and it's because I broke my hand years ago. And so, like, these three fingers, they move in almost unison. So I can't sit here and do this, you
yeah,
know, with my fingers anymore. So even on guitar, where I used to finger pick, with my own guitar, I can't do it anymore because of
yeah.
where I broke that hand. So there's a number of reasons, but let's be real. If you play with a pick on bass, the notes are clearer. They're clearer. I promise you.
See, I just can't do that because I'm getting old. The arthritis is starting to kick in there,
Yeah.
Now, being into horror and heavy metal music, do you does Waylon write the lyrics to the AKC songs?
Oh yeah. 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 Waylon is he writes pretty much all those lyrics. Now, there may be something when he's in the studio with a producer. They may say, "Hey, let's try this," and
Yeah.
let's rework some. But yeah, he writes all those lyrics.
So I didn't know if you guys incorporated horror into any of your tunes. Like I said, I've heard a few of them. Rick showed me on the way down to Michigan, but we didn't go to details about the song meanings and stuff.
So not really, no. Now, has it been done? Has Waylon done it? Yes.
Yeah.
I won't. Don't think I can't think of anything off top of my head because in AKC realm that he's done it. Now, pre Mushroom Head, we had did an album and we didn't release it. We actually had recorded it, didn't finish it before he went to Mushroom Head. And now a couple of those tracks have leaked onto the internet. And what Waylon leaked one of them, but there was an album that was called "The Indifference of Good Men" that we were doing for our old band. And now AKC, we have actually done an album called and released it called "The Indifference of Good Men." So, not to be confused. But the original version that we did back pre Mushroom Head, Waylon wrote the whole album from about The Exorcist and Exorcist 2.
Okay.
And half the album was from the perspective of the priest, and half of the album was from a perspective of the demon.
Oh, nice.
And so it was two split personalities, not split personalities, but two perspectives.
Yeah.
And and I know there's one of them that Waylon put out on YouTube. That was a song that we did called "Flight of the Locust." So if you've ever seen The Exorcist 2, then you might understand a little bit of the meaning behind "Flight of the Locust." So that was part of that album. But the stuff that he's writing now is the Victim trilogy. We're getting ready to put Victim 3 out this fall, and it's been from the perspective of a vigilante serial killer that is basically punishing and killing and murdering pedophiles or people that probably deserve to be unalived. But within the second album, the vigilante is caught, and he has to come to terms with what he's done. And so the third album is more coming to terms with that, his trial, him coming to terms, and so on. But if you listen to a lot of the vocals, it's for Victim 1 and Victim 2, and then once you get into Victim 3, there's two personalities. There's a couple of personalities in there, and the vocals back and forth a lot of times is the character talking to himself back and forth between these characters. So it's has a very horror element, but it's not written about actual horror film,
Yeah. But it sounds like you do concept albums.
This trilogy Waylon has worked his ass off to turn all three of these albums into a trilogy concept album. Yes.
See, I'm a sucker for concepts and trilogies, so I might have to go and take a look at these things. I mean, I do it anyways to support my bros, but I mean, I'm a sucker for both of those things,
Yeah. Yeah. So that's essentially what the Victim 1, Victim 2, and the upcoming Victim 3 are about. Now Waylon's already spinning his wheels on what concept is next,
Yeah. When is this coming out?
Victim 3 will come out in the fall. I don't know if we've got an exact date yet. I know we're just getting the final mixes back, and obviously it's got to be sent to the record label. Record label's got to approve, whatnot, and get everything set up for the release. But I don't think we've gotten an actual date yet. I could be wrong. Hell, for all I know, it's been posted. I'm not gonna lie. I see shit and I'll share it, or they tell me, and then it goes in one ear because I have so much going on.
Yeah, dude, you're living the dream. You're talking horror movies on a podcast that's like pretty much all across the board, and then you've got the touring band. So I'm not gonna lie, I'm a little bit jealous of you right now, dude. I might have to just not air this because you've got enough publicity and plugging yourself going on without me over there.
It's touring isn't for the weak, and everybody wants to be a touring musician, and AKC's proof of that. Now like I said, we've had a number of guitar players, a number of drummers, and we've let a lot of them go, for this reason or that reason. But you would be surprised at the amount of people that we've had come in and out of the band. It was because they could not handle touring. You
Oh,
know,
I can
they
see it.
they get out there and they think, well, this is the dream, this is what I want to do, and then they realize, well, you don't get showers every day, you live at truck stops, you eat McDonald's every day because it's the only thing at the fucking truck stop. You sit behind the venue, and so you're literally living in alleys next to trash cans, and then you're bouncing down the highway city to city, and you don't sleep well because if you can't get used to sleeping going down the highway at 60 miles an hour on a bus, and you can't sleep, so you're not sleeping, and so these guys can't handle it. It's a rough life, and once you get out there and you live it, it's not the rock star life that people thought things were.
No, it's more like Bob Seger's Turn the Page.
Yeah, and it's even worse now. 20 years ago, um, it was easier to succeed in the music industry than it is now. Now it's like there's so much out there, between these TikTok bands and and
Jeez.
whatnot. It's so easily accessible, and there's so many guys that sit at home and program all these music, so all these songs, and then release it, and so it's oversaturated. A lot of these guys now don't even play instruments; they sit home and program it all.
Yeah.
Um, and I'm guilty of that. I play guitar and I do track guitar, but I literally will write a song and I will write the bulk of the song, sit there programming a song and before I even pick my guitar up. So I'm guilty of it too. We all do. I think we all do it now. But you got these guys that do it and don't even know how to play a musical instrument. And that's frustrating. Um, and then they'll release songs. So it's oversaturated. Um, but then on the flip side, with Spotify, Apple Music, all this. I hate to say Lars is right, but Lars was right. You know, when it came to Napster, he said this is going to mess up the music industry, and he
Oh,
wasn't wrong. Lars was right, and
yeah.
I saw the writing on the wall. I agreed with Lars back then, but I also loved the having to be able to access something and download some music and listen to it and so it's a double-edged sword, because I,
Yeah.
I I like the access of it, but I understood the artist side of it, and now you're seeing effects of it. You've got Apple Music and Spotify where you make 0.0003%, and then that's split between the writers, that's split between the publishers, and there's you're not making money on albums anymore. And so you got these bands that go out now and they're literally living for their guarantees. Well,
Yeah.
if your guarantees are set at this and you're still you're still renting a bus, well, let me tell you, buses aren't cheap. They're 12, 13, 14, $1,500 a day they're spending. Then you got to pay the driver a day. And if
Yeah.
the drivers have overdrive fees, because anything over like 300 miles, 300 or 400 miles is overdrive. So drivers are making bank on these. So, and then you got fuel, and that killed us on this last. We just got back from Cottonmouth Kings. Our diesel on our bus in most of these areas we were in at one point this past tour was $7.50 a gallon.
Yeah.
Um, so you got bands that are going out and they're still renting buses and they're spending all this per day. They'll end up spending, you know, 30,000, 50,000, 60,000, $70,000 per tour for a fucking bus.
Yeah.
Well, there's your guarantees,
Yeah.
so you're not making any money. You got to downsize. And then a lot of these guys aren't understanding it's a merch game now. You got to have merch for everybody. You've got to have multiple shirts. You got to have little things. You got to have on the table that can sell cheap. It's a merch game. If you're not doing it, you're not going to make money. And you see so many bands now, like we just can't afford to tour anymore. It was because you're still trying to run your business like bands did 20 years ago, and you can't do it.
Yeah.
You're now you need to be a musician that is a t-shirt salesman.
Oh, dude, I always tell my buddy Greg, he plays in a cover band called Hair Nation. He's been on the show. we were in a band together, and he took it seriously, like you did. He'd play the gig, and then he'd go and sit by the merch booth the rest of the night trying to sell T-shirts and stuff like that. While I was off being in my mid-20s and drinking on the road. You know what I mean? And I get it though, because we didn't do much as far as touring goes. We did play out of state, but I think the biggest one was, just a doubleheader. We went to Columbus on a Friday and Cincinnati on a Saturday, and it was fun memories. It was fun hanging, but it was in the middle of March, and you're on the road and it's fucking freezing, and everyone's got that post-holiday winter blues kind of bullshit going on. And, you kind of just drink just to kind of forget what's going on, get up and do your thing, and you feel terrible the next morning. So I realized then, I don't know if I wanted to admit it to myself or not at the time, but I realized then, like, yeah, that full-time months on the road thing, that's not for me.
Yeah, it sucks. And
Oh.
I get people all the time like, oh, you must be excited for this tour. I'm like, no, I'm really not. Like, why do you do it? Well, why do you do it? And I'm like, well, I love the show.
Yeah.
I love interacting with even now. This is going to sound hypocritical of me. I love interacting with the people. I do like talking to people, and I do like seeing people that I've known for years that come out to these shows and across the country. So, but the thing is I rarely come off the bus anymore.
Yeah.
Like, and there was this thing that changed with me, COVID time. So post COVID, we were one of the first bands that actually hit the road. We actually toured while COVID was still active, before anything opened up.
Yeah.
So we were one of the bands that actually toured during the middle of COVID, and then we were one of the first bands to actually tour post COVID once things opened up. So during COVID, we did a tour that was all down south. It was all like Texas, Louisiana, Florida, those areas, and it was us, Saliva, and David Ellison from Megadeth.
Nice.
And it was all outside venues, so nothing could be indoors. It was all outside venues, and we toured during COVID. We did this tour. Then post COVID, us, Struggle Jennings, and Tommy Vexed did one of the first tours that happened after post COVID when things started opening, and we would only play cities like Tommy Vex was adamant. Obviously, if you're familiar with Tommy Vex, you know how political he gets and this and that. So,
I stay out of politics.
Yeah, I stay out of politics, but Tommy Vex, from Bad Wolves, they was big up to do about that. But he was adamant about that tour that we would not play any place that required mask. We would not play anywhere that required social distancing, blah, blah, blah. But so we did this tour, and there was a lot of cities and states that we did have to skip. So, and I know this is a roundabout way of getting, but I don't hang out with people anymore. But we did all this during COVID and post COVID. We were one of the first bands to come back out post COVID. So after this, I caught COVID 5 times.
Jesus.
I caught COVID 5 times, going out and shaking hands, taking pictures, signing autographs, doing the whole thing. And it got to where I was tired of getting sick.
Yeah.
And so like now, like for the past year, or maybe even 2 years, like I come out before the show. I'll come out after the show. But anything in between, I sit on the bus.
Yeah.
Or I sit in the green room. Because I'm tired of getting sick. I'm tired of catching COVID. I'm tired of getting sick. And it sucks when you're on tour and you're fucking sick on a bus.
Yeah. It sounds like you got the immune system of the boy in the bubble over there.
Yeah. Yeah. And the crazy thing is like during COVID, I still worked. I worked in the public. I worked in retail at the time.
Yeah.
And then I toured, and I did not get sick, never caught COVID. And then a lot of the venues required us they wouldn't let us come out and play unless we got the shot. And I ended up getting the 1 shot, the Johnson & Johnson shot. And after I got that shot, I have caught COVID. I literally caught COVID like a few weeks after the shot, and had gotten sick and caught it multiple times. Yeah.
I'm laughing with you. I swear.
Mhm. Oh, you can't make this up. I'm like, yeah, take a shot. Protect yourself. Well, I took the shot and I got sick. I got sick right away. Caught COVID. Yeah.
So, all right, to sympathize with, and here's what you're probably going to reach through the screen and punch me in the face. I did get the. I don't think I ever talked about this publicly. I did get the shots. It was for my mom. She was going through a lot of health issues at the time, health scares, and we lost my brother in June of 2020, and I was just like, yeah, I'll do it for my mom. Just suck it up,
Mhm.
because what do I care? You know what I mean? It's
And
whatever.
that's why I did it. Because I had a son and a significant other that at the time that both had autoimmune diseases,
Yeah,
and that was the other reason, that I did the shot. But I didn't do the multiple shot one. I did the one shot Johnson & Johnson one, and but I haven't went and got any boosters, and I'm not going to. Like, I
yeah.
just now it's like, yeah, I'm not doing it. I did it. I was a guinea pig. I did it, because of reasons, but I'll probably will never do it again.
Well, this is why I say you can reach through the screen and punch me. I never got sick from the side effects of the two shots, not once. So I essentially got a paid day off of work for to do nothing, because
Hmm.
I saw people who were getting sick from having that, so I was just prepared for it. I didn't get sick for either of those, and I have not been legit sick since 2018.
Huh.
Like, like I get the sniffles, allergies, that kind of stuff, but legit chills, backaches, that kind of stuff. I have not been sick since 2018. And I drink, I smoke, and I live off of sugar. So the doctors are wrong. I'm telling you right now.
Yeah, and and I didn't get sick much prior to then. And maybe it's something in the Johnson & Johnson shot. And maybe it's not even the Johnson & Johnson shot. Maybe it's just people don't wash their fucking hands,
Yeah.
you know. But prior to 2020, I didn't get sick that much. But after 2020, I got sick all the time, and so I decided, I was like, no more.
Yeah.
Like, people are like, are you coming in, or blah blah blah, or I'm like, no. And
Yeah.
it's not me being a jerk. It's literally because I'm tired of getting sick.
you're, you're not a jerk, you're just a germaphobe.
I've become a germaphobe.
Dude, I tell people I used to keep hand sanitizer in my car before it was cool. No,
Yeah,
I've always been the kind of a germaphobe. I gotten better, but like, even if I have to shake someone's hand these days, I'm internally cringing,
yeah.
because I saw it in high school. You'd see people go and say, go into the stall in the bathroom and do their thing and come right up to you and put their hand like, "What's up, dude?" I'm like, I don't think so. No.
Yeah.
The same kids trying to take your fries off of your plate. I'm like, you can just have them. They're yours now.
Yeah, exactly.
So, segueing away from germaphobe and disgusting topics, let's go to another disgusting topic before we got here, because we're coming up to the 50-minute mark. If non-trashy or trashy, whichever, what would be your horror go-to, your genre? Slasher, psychological, mystery. What's your horror go-to?
Oh, it's always horror comedy.
Horror comedy.
Always horror comedy. Yeah, I love, comedy horror. And that started obviously with Evil Dead 2. My love for Evil Dead 2, and it just spun out from there. So, like, um, if it has a comedy element to it, then and I can't take it too seriously, then I'm probably gonna love it.
So, like
And
Idle Hands, Tucker and Dale versus
yeah, I
Evil,
love,
Dude, Don't
yeah,
Worry,
Idle
Mask
Hands was
Mystery.
yeah, Idle Hands was great. And the weird thing is, I'm not a big comedy fan, like, just to watch a straight up comedy. I mean, I like, certain comedy films, but
Yeah.
I'm not a big comedy guy. But there's something about comedy horror that just I love, because you don't have to take it too seriously.
Yeah. That's true. Idle Hands is definitely a classic. I have to rebuy on DVD. I still own it on VHS, if that doesn't show my age.
Yeah. I've actually got a bunch of boxes of VHS, and I've actually had a lot of people on the road, like on tour. They'll a lot of fans will come out, and I've had fans bring me boxes of old VHS tapes. They were just going to throw away and just brought them to me.
So those you'll take, but you won't shake hands. So don't shake his hand, but make sure you send him your dirty old dusty VHS tapes.
Bring me those old VHS tapes. They'll bring me, and it's cool. I'm really appreciative of it. But, like, they'll bring me VHS tapes. I've had, quite a few DVDs. People would bring me small collections of DVDs because they were just going to toss them out.
Yeah.
That I'll have, a lot of fans that'll come out, and everybody knows I'm a huge, huge Chucky fan. So they'll bring me little Chucky dolls and shit like that too. So, yeah, all that stuff's always really cool. Has some
Like,
really cool.
you see the Lego Chucky in the background there?
I can, yeah.
One of my supervisors got that for Christmas for me about not last year, but the year before. And once I started a project like that, it didn't stop. So it took me about 6 hours to complete, but I wasn't letting it sit there on my table unfinished. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I actually got the box set, the uh, the Terrifier box set that came from Australia. I can't remember that big collection that had like all the movies, had posters, postcards, and it had the Art the Clown Lego set in it.
Oh, no shit.
But when my studio was robbed last year, and all my computers, all my backup hard drives, cameras, microphones, I had a ton of stuff. It was like $25,000 in stuff that was taken, and one of the things that was gone was that Art the Clown set with the Lego
Oh,
set.
fuck.
And I was like, I guess because it was sitting on my desk. It was sitting on my desk, which made no sense because I had literally had toys sitting around. I had like shelves all around the top of my studio and the entertainment room full of Blu-rays and DVDs,
Mhm.
but they didn't take any of that. They took, but they took the set that was on my desk next to my laptop, and obviously they took all my video games and video game systems and things like that. But yeah, I was so mad. I had literally just got that set in, sat it on my desk, and I left for tour with Drowning Pool. No, Static X.
Oh, nice.
And I was out with Static X and Guar, and had literally just opened it, sat it on my desk, and then when I got back, everything was gone, and that was gone. So yeah, that sucked. I
Dude,
didn't get a chance to put that Art the Clown Lego set together.
I'm sorry to hear that, man.
So yeah, that was a rough time.
Well, there's your reason for coming on Mental Hell in the future. You can talk about that.
Oh, I could. That was a rough time. There's live videos that I did, which I guess Facebook's probably deleted them by now. I think they delete them after 30 or 60 days now. But I did some live videos during that, and you can tell that I was so upset, so sick, and I think I was in shock that when I did those lives and videos after all that happened, you could tell I was sick.
Yeah.
Like I was so upset, I was physically sick.
Oh, dude, I not to the degree that you were there because you go on tour and stuff like that, and Facebook lives and shit. But having to do certain things when you've got shit going on is the absolute fucking worst. And put on that
Mhm.
facade. I can't. Oh, I went and looked at the some reels from Whole Dam Enchilada podcast from last year when I was going through some stuff, and it's cringeworthy, man. I actually deleted them because it's just like you see it in my face, and it's just not something I want to remember.
Yeah. No, I went back even like a month after it happened. I went and looked at some of those lives, and I was like, I look like I'm on crack.
Yeah.
And I wasn't. I mean, I was so upset and so stressed. And two, I was tired from tour because I had literally had to fly in. I literally flew out of Chicago.
Yeah.
And I missed like the last show, which wasn't part of the Static X tour. I'd finished the Static X tour, but we had a couple of headlining dates, and then we had a festival that was with Drowning Pool. It was a small festival. It was us, Drowning Pool, Daltrey, and Everclear. So I actually didn't do that show. I actually had to. It's the only was the second AKC show I've never actually done. But since I've been touring with them, and
Yeah.
I had flew home, and so I was tired from tour. I had not, obviously after being on the road for 4 or 5 weeks, I was tired, physically tired, and then came home to that, and then did those lives. I looked bad, like bad,
Yeah.
bad. I literally, like I said, a month later, I went back and looked at him. I was like, man, I look like don't even look like the same person. Don't even look
Yeah.
like.
Well, I'm glad you pulled through that, man. No bullshit there, because we've all been having some dark times. So I'm glad you pulled through it.
Oh yeah, life is good. Life is good, and it's so much better now. So,
Life is good until it's not, right?
yeah, and shit can be rebuilt, and fans helped. You know, I think they raised about $3,500 that helped me get a new laptop and interface. And I had fans that actually shipped me, you know, some mic stands and mic cables and mics. You know, that actually replaced a couple of my mics and helped replace a couple of the cameras.
Yeah.
Obviously, there was other things that haven't been replaced, and insurance sucks. You know, it took.
Let's not get started. We'll be here another hour.
I will say this: this happened in June, and they did not give me a payout until this year.
Yeah.
And I mean this year, like in the past, you know, it took them at least 6 months to do any kind of payout. The payout they gave me was $5,000
Yeah.
out of about $25,000 worth of stuff. Like, I was like, this isn't going to cover shit. Like, this doesn't, you know, it's whatever. I accepted it. You know, had it not been for the fans actually stepping up as soon as it happened and donating money and helping replace some stuff, like I'd have been shut down. You know, and it took a long time to rebuild some of the stuff. You know, obviously, like the video games and the consoles and stuff, like I've not replaced much of that yet. I've replaced a couple of them, and I actually had one girl that donated a PS5 to me. But like I had a PS5, PS2, PS3, PS4, the PlayStation VR2. Like I had stacks and stacks of games. Some of those games I've had since the early 2000s. You know, just I always kept most of all my games. And so there was literally just I couldn't even think about all the amount of many games that were taken. Um, so like that stuff I'll probably never really replace, you know, because some of that stuff is just like some of those old PlayStation 2 titles are so astronomically expensive now. That to replace some of those is like, oh, well, I've got to spend $150 on this one fucking game, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, I can't imagine having to. The most I did, and I just realized we're at the hour mark, so we got to get out of here. But when the Switch came out and Nintendo was re-releasing all of their popular games from like the Wii U and the Wii and stuff over the Switch, I would rebuy them there. But the price is like, you know, between 40 and $60. And for a lot of them, you got like a bonus. Like I had Assassin's Creed 3 and 4 for the Wii U, but when they re-released for the Switch, they also came with like another full-fledged Assassin's Creed game for like total $40. So it's kind of like, you know, you got your money's worth there.
And I have replaced some of those digitally, some of the ones I can replace digitally, but unfortunately, some of the ones that I was really upset about was a lot of the PS2 titles that you cannot get. Like I can't just go on my PS5 and re-download Evil Dead Regeneration. You know, it's like it doesn't exist. You know, I can't go down and well, I think I can now. I know they've re-released some of them, but at the time, up until this past year, I couldn't go on there and re-download all the Blood Omen games. But obviously, I think you can most of those now because they've done remasters on them now. But a lot of those games you just can't go online and repurchase, like you said. You know, like some of that stuff. But so that's what's heartbreaking is some of that. But there is a couple of those I have rebought. I did rebuy a PS2, and I did have rebought a couple of those hard to reach titles. But yeah, it's heartbreaking when it's not just something that I just bought. It was something that I had been accumulating for 25 years. You know.
Yeah. No, I'd say my very first GameCube game ever, Eternal Darkness, Sanity's Requiem. They never re-released
Eternal Darkness.
Yeah, it's an amazing game. They just come back. We should just talk about Eternal Darkness the entire time. They never re-released it, as you know. So if I lose that, I'm gonna have to rebuy it on physical. And good luck, you know.
Yeah, and that's what I did. I rebought Evil Dead Regeneration and Evil Dead Fistful of Boomstick. So those were a couple of the PS2 titles I did rebuy. But like you, Eternal Darkness. And Eternal Darkness was one of those titles that was stolen out of my collection. So yeah.
Sorry, buddy.
So like, yeah, all those old Zelda games that were on the GameCube and Wii and a lot of those, all that stuff. Yeah, because all that stuff was stolen. I had all that stuff.
Fuck, I'm sorry, man.
Yeah.
That's
yeah.
You broke my heart with the Eternal Darkness one. I already felt bad for you, but that's
Eternal Darkness was one of the titles. Yes.
Well, I'll tell you what. Hey, if you're down for it, man, since, like I said, we're over an hour now. But if you want to come back in the near future, once you get settled in down in Carolina and on
Mhm.
tour stuff, just do an hour talking about Eternal Darkness for people who don't know about it.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Dude,
Yeah,
fuck, let's make this happen. I was supposed to do it
yeah,
with my buddy Wayne at the Nerd Powwow, but he wasn't able to find a way to research it. So if you know it as well as I do, we could go an hour easy on that.
yeah. I'll come back on anytime you want me to. Like I've got I got moving next week, so like I'll be shut down for a week or two, but I've got to get my studio back up and running, because obviously like tonight I don't have my mic, I don't have my laptop, I'm doing this all on the phone. But I've got to go back and start recording Cinenerds episodes. I have to get my studio back up and running in the next like week or so after I move. So yeah,
No rush, dude.
once I get everything up and running, give me a couple weeks. I'll come on anytime you need me.
Yeah, dude, I appreciate that. So we'll be in touch, and I'll keep you posted on this one stuff. But so yeah, I mean that was JP Cross. Check out Victim 3 coming up probably this fall from A Killer's Confession. Cinenerds Podcast Thursdays at 8, and coming soon Trashy Tuesdays, correct?
Cinenerds Trashy Tuesdays.
So that was JP Cross. Thank you again for coming out here, man. I appreciate it.
Anytime.
All right, and I am the Brewster, and the Brewster Vision presents Brewsteria. And until next time, stay cool, freaky frighteners.